measurements?
I don't actually know about the measurements, but I know the experts like Magda Havas.
Sure, there's always experts. There's one or two. There's always
There's
people
not
that will
just
tell you
one
that.
or two. There's over 250 scientists.
Listen, sir, there's over 10,000 in peer-reviewed independent scientific reports on the effects of RF radiation.
Sure, I understand.
Health
that.
effects. Do you understand?
I do.
Are you denying that?
No, of course not. I'm not denying that radio frequency energy can cause systemic damage to living things. Okay? But we as designers are very careful to ensure that the levels that are being produced at the antenna are not going to cause something that's going
No,
to
that's
cause
wrong.
contact.
That's completely refuted by the Bio Initiative 2012.
Sorry, can you back away a bit?
Or are you worried about COVID? Or?
I am, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
So you're caught up in that too. But
no, I'm practicing safe social distance.
for the oncoming technocracy, eh? So they can monitor everybody.
See, that's the conspiracy.
Is
theory.
it a conspiracy? Do you know what's going on in China?
I do.
They have over 350
I know
million
about social
facial
engineering there. I
facial
know about that.
recognitions.
Sorry, I asked you to back up.
All right, sir.
No, I do understand.
So look up the Bio Initiative 2012.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scientific reports on the effects of EMF radiation.
Sure. Well, no one's disputing that.
Yes, you are. I was just at a playground and it was maxed out in EMF radiations, and you're telling me, oh, the city engineers are being careful. That's a complete lie, sir.
No, it's true.
Did you know Health Canada Safety Code 6?
I don't.
Do you know
I'm not
anything about
familiar with
that?
exactly, but what does it tell you?
Do you know anything about that, sir?
No.
Well, you don't know. You know nothing about EMF then,
Sure I
because
do.
Safety Code 6 is the regulations for EMF radiation in Canada through Health Canada. It was created in
And 1610 is the
1978.
electrical code
It
for
was
electrical
created in
safety.
1978, sir.
And they knew
So
a
why
lot
don't you go
less.
look it up?
Sorry, can you back away for the third?
Do you know something
Dude,
else, sir?
dude, back away.
I'm back. I'm 6 feet away from you. Do you want me 8 feet?
Sure, that would be nice. Thank
So look up Safety Code 6, sir.
you. Yeah.
Do me a favor. Get educated on it. It only looks at the thermal effects of EMF radiation. It completely ignores the non-thermal effects.
Well, sure.
It's protecting the telecommunication thugs from liability.
Thugs.
They are
That's a
thugs.
strong word.
They are thugs in our society right now.
Wow. So you want to roll the clock back to
No, I don't. We want a moratorium on EMF radiation so that we can have...
Wow. So no
So
electricity.
No, we said EMF,
Do you know what
5G,
EMF
5G.
stands for?
We
Before
said
use the
five.
term?
We want a moratorium on 5G deployment, so we can look at the independent science on the health effects.
So here's what you need to know. The energy coming out of an antenna at 5G is far lower than the energy coming out at 4G. Far lower.
No, it's not. No, it's not. We actually measured it, and there's actually scientific reports. The frequency is so much higher, sir.
The frequency. Do you know what frequency you're at?
The peak signal. We're talking up to 95 gigahertz. Wow, man. This guy, look at this guy.
That's not a transmission wavelength.
Listen, it's going up to
That's a data
95
wavelength.
gigahertz, okay?
In the digital domain.
They're already starting to deploy them in the US.
In the digital domain, it's
So-
going that fast, but it's not going that fast in the frequency.
Yes, it is. It's very fast. It's high
You understand
frequency.
what kind of modulation it is?
It's mass exposure, sir.
Sure.
It's going to run the self-driving cars AI.
Giant spread spectrum wave that is lower than thermal noise.
No.
Oh,
No.
Listen, I used to design this stuff.
Listen,
I know
sir.
how it works. I understand this.
So are you saying there's no health effects from the
No, I'm
EMF from
saying,
5G?
Of course there's health effects from all radiation.
But you're saying it's being administered safely, yet you don't even know what Safety Code 6 is. So you don't know what you're talking about.
Standard from the 70s is going to
This is the standard that's being applied. If you know anything about EMF radiation, it's being applied. That's the standard. It's through Health Canada. So you know nothing about the standards,
Wow.
right? So go look up Safety Code 6.
That's aggressive.
It is. So why are you here today?
Just to raise awareness about 5G.
What are you concerned about with it?
Our health. It's just bad for your brain and your organs.
concerned because I saw that safety code 6, which they're basing all of this on, really hasn't been updated since 2015. So.
Actually, 1978.
Oh God. So apparently on the website it says last modified 2015, but.
Yeah, and look at this guy on the bike. He's some engineer, and he was pretending to, you know, to know all about EMF radiation. He didn't even know about safety code 6.
Yeah.
So what the, he's bullshitting people like that. Just absolute joke. But it came out in 1978. It hasn't been updated. It only looks at thermal effects of EMF radiation.
Yeah.
It doesn't look at the non-thermal.
And then
right?
I heard it's 10 megahertz that it's limited at. But with the way 5G is going to roll out, it's going to be around 39,000 megahertz apparently. If you do the math from, I haven't done this, but if you do the math where you see how many gigahertz go into a megahertz, with the 5G it's like 39,000 megahertz. That's way above 10.
Yeah,
The
we actually went into a radiation document from the government of Canada. The peak signal that they allow is 20,000 volts per meter. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And if you, according to the Bio Initiative, if you're 0.5 is the threshold for adverse health effects. They actually allow up to 20,000.
Wow.
So the reason is this: they want to protect the telecommunication from liability, and they're going to make a lot of people sick.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like, you know, if they absolutely have to go up, then isn't there some sort of shield that
they don't absolutely have to go up?
Okay.
This is being dictated out of the crony corrupt establishment in Ottawa. All the political mainstream puppets are behind it. Well, they don't want to say anything because they'll get kicked out of their party,
like,
right?
I've tried writing an MLA about it, and they basically said because Canadians are so like we need too much data and we need to be able to download, you know, they said there's no way around it. So I was just saying, well, if there is no way around it, then can't you put up some sort of shield that deflects all that?
No, but that's BS. Of course there's a way around. If you're killing your environment, you're harming your children, you're poisoning your people, you're making them sick.
I'm concerned.
And it's not just the health stuff, it's the artificial intelligence and the face recognition. Like, we have no privacy.
That goes
exactly. That's another side of it.
That's our unalienable right, or inalienable right, is to have privacy.
No, but it shows how the sickness of society. You know what's happening? This is the almighty dollar. That's pushing this.
That's what everything's about.
So we have people in power, and they're bought out by money, power. A lot of them are afraid to speak up because they'll just be kicked out, kicked to the curb.
We have to fight our government on so many things about why they're hurting us.
But this is happening worldwide.
Yeah.
We have people all over the world. We were in contact with someone from Finland, and it's so bad. Like, people are afraid for their lives now if they talk about it, because guess what? Nokia is from Finland.
Right.
And they're completely in bed with the Finnish government.
And if you even put 5G in your post, you get censored.
Pretty much.
On social media.
Facebook and YouTube, you can't. It's hard. It's getting harder and harder to find the truth.
You can't. And but this is being rammed down our throats. The government of Canada says Canadians want a digital economy, AI, technocratic society. Like,
I don't know anyone who wants
but that's what they're saying. That's what they're pushing. And if you listen to Barry Trower, physicist from the UK, he's been researching this all his life. He worked in he was a military expert on microwave frequency in the military.
Thank you.
He thinks that's the reason they bring mass immigration now, because so many people are going to get sick, and you know, so many people are going to die that they need people here to work.
Yeah.
So just keep bringing, you know, more and more migrants in to replace those who can't work.
Nothing surprises me at this point, but you know, what I do know is I haven't seen enough safety studies to tell me this is safe. So and I feel like, you know, it's not cool that these have all been going up while we're on lockdown, and apparently you don't need the citizens' permission for technology. But I don't know, I'm here because I'm concerned, and I feel like we all need to raise awareness together until we know it's safe.
Exactly. And it's not because you're against technology, is it?
No.
Not at all.
Safe technology is good. This is not safe.
I can download
pretty quickly.
I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, how much are you going to sacrifice so you can download so fast? Are you going to
give up 20 years of your life and your health?
There's studies that, it's going to kill the bees, it's killing insects, it's harming trees, it's harming animals.
I've been seeing that like from all around the world, and like where 5G tower was, and why are they hiding them and making them look like trees and cactuses,
Yeah.
And then all these dead birds on the ground and nobody's concerned. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's bad.
And all the cruise ships that had all those people with coronavirus on it, they all had 5G. It's an interesting coincidence.
There you go. Yeah, there was a Dr. Kilhart out of Seattle, Evergreen Hospital.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's in natural medicine, but he said there's a direct correlation to the deaths of COVID-19 and the areas of the U.S. with the highest EMF frequency zones.
Yeah.
There's a direct correlation.
It doesn't surprise me.
Wuhan rolled it out first. People were dying in the streets, and doctors say the viruses don't do that. And then the next places they rolled it out was Italy and Spain.
Yeah.
Incidentally,
It seems like.
So what brought you out today?
I'm one of the people that's had an overexposure to wireless, and now it's toxic to me. So I get very sick. I get a bad headache around wireless routers, and then after an hour or so, I start to get sick to my stomach, and I get heart palpitations.
Oh my God.
So I've been researching this for about 7 years since I figured it out. I worked in a medical office.
Okay.
And I couldn't understand why I was stressed out even when the doctor wasn't there and there were no patients, until the guy came and turned the wireless off, and all of a sudden my headache was gone. So I figured it out, and then I worked as a temp so that I could leave the office if it was uncomfortable to me. And invariably, when I was sitting at a secretary's desk, I'd open the drawer and find painkillers in it. And they were on sick leave because they had severe health problems. And I'd look around and the wireless router would be right over their head.
Oh my God.
Right under their feet.
Wow.
Right beside them, in a closet behind them, invariably. So that's why I'm here. Because in the research I've done, I recognize there's been a cover-up, unfortunately.
Yes.
Because when the hazards were discovered in the 70s and 80s,
things all day, right?
They were at a point where the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission in the U.S., had just been the banker for the funding of the infrastructure to lay out all the cell towers, etc., across the U.S.
Yes.
And so they, instead of taking the advice of the scientists who were telling them that there was problems in DNA damage,
yes,
arriving from RF radiation frequencies,
yes,
they decided to blackball the guy,
yes,
ruin his reputation, the scientist, cover it up, and such is the story, and wargame the science, which means they funded fake science to create doubt.
And they've done the same in Canada, you know that.
Yes,
yeah.
And so Canada just follows what they've done in the US.
Yeah, it's just a sheep of the US.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't do the science. It was too much work, so we just follow what they did. So
exactly.
That legislation that came out in the 80s, which was basically infrastructure, taking our commons, which is the frequency, the telecommunication band, and making it a national regulator means that nobody has any local influence or jurisdiction about the placement of cell towers, and nobody can complain on the basis of health concerns or real estate values.
Yes, it's federal jurisdiction, and they've made sure that the telecommunication industry can't be liable for any physical harm.
That's right, and the telecommunication industry at this point can't admit anything because they'd be liable for billions of dollars.
Well,
in
they
health
don't
claims.
want it. They wouldn't emit a little tiny bit because it would just open everything up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they can't admit anything.
Well, they won't, and they're protected by the Parliament, the corrupt
That's
Parliament.
Right. Unfortunately,
they're protected by Industry Canada. They're protected by the mainstream media.
Right. They're the biggest lobby of our politicians, and the federal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the federal regulators like Health Canada, which sets the safe exposure level to radiation, is still stuck at the level of exposure that was pre the scientific evidence that there was any harm from non-ionizing radiation. Meaning, they set the standards over 30 years ago that you had to heat tissue in order for there to be damage.
Yeah.
But there's been evidence for more than 30 years showing that DNA is damaged by wireless radiation exposure, which is the stuff we put in our homes in wireless routers, the stuff we have in our offices, the baby monitors we put beside our kids, and the portable base stations in the phones that we use.
And what about the cellular towers?
And the smart meters.
And the cellular towers on top of it.
Cell towers too.
Yeah, the cell tower and now the numerous antennas.
Nobody should be working or living within 250 meters of a cell tower, at least, or
more than that.
Further, miles. But you know why it got covered up? Because when the hazards were realized, they realized they would have to buy up all the land around the cell towers.
Yes.
And radar installations, and so the cover-up was complete.
Yes. Yeah, but now we're exposing it. It's not too late. What goes up can come down, right? And you can take action in your own home.
That's right. The thing to do is to get a wired internet. People don't even realize you can use a wired connection.
But there still is a problem with 5G, because what's going to happen, it's going to become part of the infrastructure. You won't even need a smartphone, because you're going to walk out of your house and there's going to be facial recognition everywhere.
Yes, those are possibilities.
It's already happening in China.
Yes, it's in China, but it's all still a possibility here that we can do something about.
Oh, of course you can. No, I'm saying you can.
Yes, we can do
whatever
something
they
about
put up, we can take down.
Yeah.
But
we can also figure out better frequencies to use for telecommunication that are non-biologically harmful.
Well, it's
not just humans that are.
It's going to be hard to disprove that, because the whole AI, it's premised on this millimeter wave, right?
But they still haven't definitively decided which of those millimeter waves they're going to use.
Well, in the U.S., they're
experimenting, and we're the experiment.
I know that.
Subjects.
They're already deploying antennas up to 95 gigahertz frequency.
So they are experimenting with different kinds of wavelengths for 5G.
But they're not experimenting to determine the health effects. What they're experimenting to find the most efficient frequency to run their AI society.
Yes.
Their self-driving cars, their robots, their drones, right?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with people.
That's exactly right. It's about profit. It's billions of dollars of profit every quarter.
Exactly. Look at Rogers. Look up Rogers, everyone listening. It's a globalist billionaire corporation, and they're just they completely bought out these corrupt politicians in Ottawa. Health Canada is just a puppet of them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
This is the absolute corruption of Canada.
So people need to educate themselves, because you're not going to hear about it on the mainstream media, because the mainstream media is owned by the telecoms.
They're also owned by the establishment.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way to educate yourself is to understand that the scientists have been trying to get the word out for many, many years. You can get good information at Canadians for Safe Technology. That's one place.
Here too.
The Environmental Health Trust.org.
Yeah.
Environmental Health Trust, Canadians for Safe Technology, BC Smart Meters, Alberta 5G. Yeah.
We got a lot of information on our blog at NCA.
And there's something called
National Citizens Alliance.
National Citizens Alliance.
We got a lot of information on our blog
as well.
Yeah.
And here's a little.
Yeah, show us this.
This is a story about some grade 9 students in Sweden.
Okay.
Who took an interest in creating an experiment. So they put cress seeds beside a Wi-Fi router and watched if they sprouted, left them in the same light, same water, as one that was not beside a Wi-Fi router. So this is exposed 12 days to Wi-Fi, and this is non-exposed to Wi-Fi.
Wow.
So these girls were in grade 9.
Wow.
They won a science award for this.
Wow.
This is proof from a Naval Medical Research report from the 1971 indicating radio frequency radiation, aka cell phones, Wi-Fi, smart meters, cordless phones, create headaches, insomnia, restlessness. This is an actual page of the report.
Yes.
Memory loss, EEG, that's brain wave changes, seizures, memory loss, cranial nerve disorders, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system changes, depression, impotence, anxiety, irritability, anorexia, dizziness, insomnia, hallucinations, and we could go on. Increased risk of cancer, heart disease, infertility, 2018 reported. Why don't we all know about these hazards by now and have safer wireless hygiene?
Yeah, I totally agree. What's on the back of this? Anything else? Yeah, educate yourself. This is it's really a sad situation.
It is.
But this is the epitome of absolute corruption.
It is corruption.
It's unbelievable corruption.
Right. But
it's actually, you know, people are going on about systemic racism now.
Yeah.
This is actually worse. This is systemic corruption through the entire system.
Right, and it's corruption that we're responsible for, and we have choices about what we're going to do about it, and it's not the end of the world. This is a form of corruption that we can all address.
Yeah, and the first step is exposing it.
Yeah, well, the first step is to looking inside and finding out if this is true or not.
Yeah.
And finding out for yourself, not listening to the advertising on the television that is supposed to be an actual scientific expose, and it's funded by the telecoms who are just going to tell you what they want you to hear.
Exactly.
Under the guise of science.
Exactly.
So you have to find out within what the corruption is within that prevents you from understanding the truth.
Yes.
First.
Yeah.
Before you can go blaming everybody for the mess that society's in. Yes, we're in a mess.
This is a real mess.
We're in a real mess.
This is affecting...
Yes, it's a very emotional topic because it's so damaging. And
it is.
People who are sensitive like me have been treated like tin hats or whatever the word is.
Yeah.
Like we're crazy.
Yes.
It's not crazy. It's actual biologically aware.
It's killing our environment.
It kills the trees, it kills the bees, it
insects,
kills the plants,
ants, birds. It's affecting their ability to migrate.
Yes.
Animals are being affected. Human beings, pregnant mothers are. It's causing increased
DNA damage into the future, hereditary damage.
It's actually causing increased miscarriages in women.
That's what was evident in the patent application that was done by Swisscom in the 1970s or 80s when they were looking for a patented device, trying to get a patent for a device that would reduce the damage biologically from wireless. They stated that there was evidence of damage to hereditary material, i.e. DNA, from exposure to wireless. There's evidence. It's not covered. It's not covered
but I'll
up.
tell you this.
You just have to look.
But these towers are even worse. The stuff coming out of them, it's blanket radiation.
I know. I feel so sorry for people who are living within the straight line of those transmitters.
Oh, yes.
They are sick.
We were in a playground today.
Yeah.
Our meter was completely maxed out.
Yep.
And we were over 15,000 microwatts per square meter. Mm-hmm. It was peaked out at 6.0 volts per meter, and it was probably higher. Mm-hmm. That's the most extreme level on the meter for adverse health effects.
Yes. And
that was right in the playground.
But it's not in somebody's living room, which is where I've been when somebody complained about the cell tower that went up across the street from them, and there was nothing they could do about it. I went to a meeting. I didn't realize the cell tower was across the street from the living room. It was on the 3rd floor of a building. Within an hour, I couldn't speak. I couldn't put a sentence together. I had a splitting headache, and I couldn't even talk. So I walked, I held on to the wall as I went down the stairs, And when I stepped out the door, a different door than I'd come in, I realized the cell tower was transmitting directly into the living room where we'd had the meeting.
Yeah.
And that within an hour, I couldn't even talk.
Oh my God.
I felt like I'd hit my head on the ground. So people are living in buildings and working in buildings that have transmitters that are beaming right at them.
Yeah, we've been downtown Calgary. There's mega towers there.
And they're taking painkillers and they can't sleep.
And
they're upset and they're agitated and they're restless and they're stressed to the max. Super stress.
And then they go to the doctor and
that's right.
They say there's something else wrong with them.
And the doctors don't understand it. And so consequently, it's caught, one of the possibilities is we'll just bankrupt the healthcare system because we're ignorant and not paying attention to all the side effects of wireless radio frequency. We've got terrible height. It's like the old days when everybody had lead in their cups.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Exactly. There's always exposures that we don't realize are toxic until it's too late. And then it takes something like the Queen having a guest in the palace No, they had green wallpaper in the Victorian times and it was full of arsenic.
But this is different now.
And it wasn't until her guest got sick that she put she laid down the law and she said no more green wallpaper. And it was gone.
No, but they know in Ottawa.
We need a queen to say no more. We need wired.
But understand, they know fully where.
Connections.
They don't care. They're blind to it. They're caught up in the power and money.
Profit.
They had 140 peer-reviewed scientific reports on the health effects of EMF radiation. The entire Parliament knew about them.
The
Health Canada knew about it.
Yeah, I know.
And Health Canada pushed them down.
I know.
Hid them.
Yeah.
So they know.
Yes,
but
they do
so
know.
This is criminal negligence.
It is negligence.
Yes, it is. It's criminal too.
Right. And it's our commons. So the telecommunication band frequencies is our commons. Meaning it's the commons. It's our property.
Yes.
So why are we paying the telecoms money where they're making profits for something that we actually own as our commons?
And you're being harmed by it. It's just like a property owner allowing the telecommunications to put up one of those towers.
Right.
They're profiting from it while they contaminate their community.
That's right.
It's wrong.
And they're collecting fees from us to do that.
Yes, they are. And
initially that was supposed to be just so that they could pay back the cost of building the infrastructure, the fees.
It's horrible corruption, isn't it?
It is.
It's these petitions have been an absolute joke. We actually did something on them, and it's a way to misdirect people and create the illusion of doing something. The bottom line is you got to be politically active. You got to be on the ground like you are today and like we were.
Take a stand.
Yes, take a stand. But this is a very...
But don't believe anything. Don't believe anybody says. You have to check it out.
Yeah, go to the source.
Yeah, inside.
Yeah, we got a lot of information on National Citizens Alliance. We documented that report and many other reports.
Yes.
Did you know in 1977 there was a report done in Soviet Union at the time on millimeter radiation and all the health effects from that.
That's why their standards are so much stricter than ours.
Yes.
And so many countries have exposure standards that are much, much stricter than ours.
It's horrendous, eh?
It is.
But
so this is a call to action.
Yes.
Wire your internet connection at home. Turn off the wireless on your devices. Once you've got it wired, turn off the wireless on your devices.
Yes, exactly. But also get politically active, and
don't keep your cell phone in your pocket.
Of
unless
course.
It's on wireless.
Well,
unless you don't want children,
you can put it on
cancer.
You can put it on airplane mode as well.
That's what I said.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't give devices to your kids that aren't on airplane mode.
But people need to realize that this is political at its root. It's a political decision at its root.
There's nothing we can do as individuals except advocate that our politicians do something, and legally there's an action in the US
they're
right
not
now.
listening. But my point is, support those like NCA and other parties that support this.
Right.
And so we can root the corruption out of Ottawa.
It's very difficult.
It is difficult.
Yes.
But going through the course is difficult. There's no easy path.
Educate yourself.
Yes.
That's
number one.
That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Because once you get yourself educated, then you'll start to understand what you need to do.
Because
you have to have the information.
Because
first.
You'll be empowered by that knowledge.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. How are you feeling these days? Yourself?
I have my own challenges with this. I live in a townhouse with a 14-foot footprint, and everybody around me has wireless. I don't. And then everybody around me has a smart meter from ATCO. I don't. So I pay $224 a year not to have a smart meter on my ATCO utility, but I'm surrounded in a townhouse, a very densely populated townhouse, by wireless networks that give me a bit of grief, headaches, discomfort. And so I've researched all the kinds of devices that have been proposed to have some kind of influence on remediating the wireless radiation. So that's what I do. I have my little things that I do that I'm reluctant to speak about because I don't want to sound like I'm advertising something.
Sure, fair enough. Well, thanks for sharing today.
Okay.
And we stand together in solidarity.
And I think the people who are listening behind here got an education.
And so are the people listening here.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of people, and they really appreciate you speaking up.
And I appreciate you having the know-how to do the recordings and meter readings and all the rest of it. I appreciate that.
Watch it today.
Yeah.
It was absolutely horrendous today.
Yeah.
Where we went.
I have a small meter that I bought from, it's called Safe and Sound, and it was from Safeco, I can't remember the Canadian company. It was $99, and in my townhouse, everything is high, and there's a few places that are extremely high. So there is no safe place in my townhouse.
That's unbelievable.
There's no place.
Yeah, well, this zone we went to today was off the charts.
Yeah.
And the highest...
It was in a playground.
The highest radiation, EMF radiation detected was in the playground. The whole area was blanketed. People need to know that. It was blanketed with extreme levels of EMF radiation coming from two cellular towers. One was a rooftop cellular tower, and one was a TELUS, one with 4G, 5G panels. So
I want to do a little public shaming of...
It was absolutely horrendous.
I want to do a little public shaming of a church that I asked repeatedly to confirm whether they had a cell transmitter in their steeple or not. They refused to answer me. So I physically went to the church. I went in and spoke to the secretary, and she confirmed they did have a transmitter in their steeple. And next door to that church, Bow Valley Christian Church, was a seniors facility built where my parents leased an apartment that was exactly in line with that transmitter. So everybody in that apartment doesn't know that there's a cell transmitter a few hundred feet from their windows transmitting into their living space and of the seniors complex next door.
Unbelievable.
And how in good conscience they could keep making all the money that they make from the rental of that cell tower, knowing that they were irradiating all the seniors in the building next door, beats me. I think we need to shame the people, the churches who are collecting all the money, meanwhile radiating all their neighbors.
Yes.
And especially when it's hidden, like it was in the Bow Valley Christian Church. It's in a steeple that hides it.
Yes.
So you can't even tell there's a cell tower there.
Yeah. We've actually done a few videos exposing them. There's a really egregious one at Bow Trail in Sarcee in Calgary.
That church. Yeah, Woodview United.
Yeah, Woodview is pretty egreurious. We took readings.
But they're not hiding it.
They're not hiding it, but they're, it's kind of, it just shows they're in bed with the telecommunication.
Well, lots of people are, because you could, as a private landowner, you can put up a cell tower under 100 feet, make $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Radiate your neighbors, make lots of money. There's nobody can complain about it.
That's the real injustice here. So some people are profiting while they pollute, contaminate everyone else.
Everybody suffers.
It just shows how backward our society is, that we haven't really evolved.
It's ignorant. Yeah,
it's not ignorant. Those political puppets in Ottawa know full well, probably more than you and I, the health effects, but they don't give a damn.
No, it's not they don't give a damn, it's they don't want to look like a fool.
Doesn't matter.
That's the unfortunate thing.
No,
because people speaking out about this are still treated like fools.
No, but they've completely ignored.
We just had a whole bunch of people go by who treated us like tin hats and taunted us like we're tin hats. So we understand that the politicians don't want to be treated like they're tin hats.
No, you're making excuses for them. There's no excuses here.
Yeah.
There's no justification.
No, that's what I've heard from them.
There's not.
This is what they tell me. The politicians tell me that's why they don't bring it up.
Well, they shouldn't be representing
Parliament.
the people. That's why NCA is running against them.
Yes.
Because we're not afraid to speak about this issue.
Right.
We want to drain and replace them. But understand that in 2015, that Harper regime, all the medical stuff we're talking about was pushed in front of them.
I understand.
So they know it.
I know that.
They know what's going on.
The Health and Safety Committee interviewed experts around the world, and they made recommendations that were basically shelved. But those recommendations need to be looked at.
They know. They know the health effects.
But that government was 2 governments ago.
Doesn't matter. Trudeau's in there. It got passed on to them, the Trudeau regime, and they ignored
those
it.
things get shelved.
I'm just saying but
unless we tell them this is our priority,
but
they're not going to listen.
But don't think they're ignorant. They know exactly the science that you and I have looked at. It was presented to them.
And I just told you why they won't do anything about it unless we raise a
No, we're going to drain them out because they shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
Think about it. They're in there. They know they're harming people, and they figure, according to you, most people don't know about it, so we're just going to keep doing it. Think about it. Why are they representing the Canadian people? How could they? They're criminals, aren't they?
They think they're of the belief, and many people are, as the number of people who've gone by here are, that it's false, that it's fake, and it's some weirdos, and it's a conspiracy.
No, I don't buy that.
No, lots of them do.
This has been a scam since 1978 or earlier. They've actually rigged the system so there's no liability.
Yes, I understand.
They've ignored all the science, independent science. They are criminally negligent.
I would like to hold them responsible, but I don't know how to do that.
They should be criminally... The best way you could do is support NCA so we can run against them and remove them. Right? Right? It's a political thing in the end. Why are these people representing the Canadian people? They are killing them. They are harming them. Right?
I think the politicians are juggling a lot of important issues.
You got to distinguish. These are establishment politicians.
Yes.
But the problem here, see, this is the root of the problem here.
I'd prefer if you didn't poke
All right,
your
I won't.
Don't poke your
All right,
fingers
but this is the problem here, because you're starting to make excuses for them. You're starting to justify them.
I'm not making excuses. I'm recognizing that if I was in their position, this is called empathy. If I was in their position and I had many people with many concerns, that I wasn't sure where to prioritize this issue. So I would have a challenge in prioritizing where does this. For me, it's very clear, but I can see as in a position of a politician that there would be a challenge around determining how important is this in the big scheme, and politically, is this a disaster if I open my mouth about it, which is definitely a calculation. Do I continue to do the best I can while ignoring this issue and managing other issues, or do I put my life and my political career on the line to speak publicly about something that many people still think is a conspiracy? It's a choice. Yeah. And many of them choose not to open their mouth.
But those who are actually leading it, they're actually allowing it. See, so the whole system is corrupt because of this. So we have people who are cowardly, unwilling to speak up about a serious issue.
I think that naming and labeling like that isn't necessarily helpful.
I think it's helpful. You have to be very direct and not be afraid to call it for what it is.
I think I think it's unhelpful because as soon as you call somebody cowardly, they're going to have their defenses up. So we need people to work on this. We don't want to create enemies out of
Listen,
this.
we've already looked at the political history. There was a group that went to Ottawa in 2015 and presented a whole bunch of scientific reports, and they basically said, thank you, there's the door. There's the door. We don't want to hear from you again. Okay, so look into the political history.
I know it. I've actually been on this issue for 8 years.
But this is part of the problem when we start to make excuses for people in power who are allowing this to happen. And we shouldn't be doing that. We should be holding them accountable.
And how do you do that?
Hold them accountable at the ballot box so we can remove them. That's number one.
Okay.
That's number one.
I will, because I've been trying for
Everything else is a complete waste of time.
To talk to the MP for this neighborhood.
You're wasting your time.
I know. I've done many pleas, emails, meetings with, and been, I've expressed myself many times. I've been a riding representative for Canadians for Safe Technology, which means I took on a commitment to speak to the MP, who used to be, I can't even remember his name, he was that bad.
You're wasting your
time. I started this 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've actually done my due diligence trying to talk to the politicians.
See, that's the problem. You're begging to them.
And right now, Len Weber, he keeps reinterpreting my concerns in the most noxious, what's the word? The most namby-pamby way. So when I submit my concerns, I get nothing to a response that says, well, somebody's concerned about the cell phone charges or something. That's their interpretation of what I've just told them. No, that's not my concern. But anyway,
so it's just a complete waste of time.
I don't think it's a waste of time. I think that we have to keep.
The petitions have done nothing. These establishment politicians are doing nothing. We have evidence of that. So what we're saying, let's run against them on these issues and other ones. And if they're not willing to stand up for it, well, we will. So why don't you vote for us? And we will implement it. That's the solution. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
It's a good start.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
And, we wish you the best with your health. And thank you for raising awareness. Excellent stuff.
Same to you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Yeah, thank you.
the opportunity.
Thank you.